Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about fear. So whether you have cancer or not, fear is something that we all face and can be so pervasive in our lives. So I just want to talk about what fear is, how to identify it, and go over things that you can do to dissolve it. Hi, my name is Nee and welcome back to my channel where I will be talking about life, living, and healing from stage 4 cancer. My goal is to share as much information and experiences as possible with you to help you thrive in your own cancer journey, or you could just use the information to help your loved ones that are facing cancer. Now, what is fear? The definition of fear is an unpleasant emotion that's caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat. While it's unpleasant to experience fear, it's actually a protective mechanism and a defense system that's innate and hardwired to help us survive. We need a healthy amount of fear to be able to keep us safe. Like if we see a bear, we would want our fear defense system to kick in so that our bodies can prepare to run away from the bear. The activation of the defensive behavior starts with some sort of an arousal reaction that's automatic, and it's processed by a part of our brain called the amygdala. When the amygdala is aroused by some sort of fear stimulus, like this bear, your autonomic nervous system kicks in and you now enter this fight, flight, and freeze response. And suddenly your heart just starts racing, it's going up, you're starting to sweat, your body tenses up, your muscles tighten, you hyperventilate, you can't breathe. So these are the physiological things that happen automatically in our bodies in response to that new threat. Now, this was helpful back in the day when there was a true threat and allowed for our ancestors to survive, but nowadays we have more psychological stress that triggers the same response in our amygdala, and it leads to the same automatic reactions that can become chronic and can lead to health issues like cancer. This maladaptive activation of the fear defense system is a huge contributor to inflammation and oxidative stress. So we know how important it is to be aware of this and to work through it in order to optimize our healing potential. Fear has just been one of the biggest challenges for me to overcome in my own cancer journey, and I'm still working on it every day. There's no way as human beings that we won't encounter fear because it's just part of everyday life. But I think the more that we shine a light on it, the more we expose it, and the more we let it come to the surface in order to be healed, the more we can give it less power over our minds and our bodies. If you think about it, there are really just only two types of emotions. There's love and then there's fear. And everything else is just a derivative of these emotions. So emotions like joy, happiness, acceptance, compassion, they're derivatives of love. Whereas emotions like anger, jealousy, guilt, shame, anxiety, and depression, they're all derivatives of fear. So I realized that in any given moment, I have the power to choose between love and fear. I am capable of shifting from one emotion to the other, despite how hard and painful it may be to do this. But the healing and the peace that comes with it is just worth every ounce of effort. So now that we've talked about the definition of fear and the mechanisms behind the response, we can go into the three things that I came up with that can help shift your emotions from fear to love. So when you start to feel a fear-based emotion that's starting to come on, whether it's anxiety or dread, worry, guilt, shame, or something else, the first step is to be aware of it and to name it. Awareness is really the key here because a lot of times we go through life unconsciously, and most of the time we aren't even aware of our own thoughts and actions, and we're just living in this automatic program that's controlled by our subconscious mind. An example of this in my own life is, let's say I get my scans done, and there's usually a few days in between that I need to wait in order to get my results. In these couple of days, my mind starts to create all types of scenarios that are so anxiety provoking, and I start to think about what could go wrong. Are the scans gonna show growth? Are there gonna be new metastases that I'll have to deal with? What if there's growth in one of the more vital areas that's gonna require me to get emergent treatment? What if my treatment is just not gonna work and I'm gonna be left with no further options? And on it goes. So the real reason why the fear response is triggered in this situation is because there's a perceived threat to my life. My mind is thinking of all these things that could potentially shorten my life, And if I'm not aware of what's actually going on, I'm going to let my body respond to my mind. And what does that mean? So that means that I'm going to be shutting down my parasympathetic nervous system and allow my sympathetic nervous system to take over and to take control. And as we discussed before, the sympathetic nervous system is responsible for that fight, flight, or freeze response. And the parasympathetic nervous system is just the opposite, and it's responsible for resting and digesting. So when we let our sympathetic nervous system take over and it's now in control, it's actually really detrimental to our bodies and our health, because now there's no time to rest, digest, repair, or heal. And we're not going to feel open to connecting with others, to love, to have gratitude, and to do things that we enjoy. All of our energy is just now focused on this perceived threat that hasn't even happened yet and may not even happen at all. So you really want to be aware of it, and then you name it. Ask yourself, what emotion am I feeling? Name that emotion. Where did it come from, and what story am I telling myself? In my own example, what am I feeling? Well, I'm feeling fearful. Name that emotion. Anxiety, worry, dread. Where did it come from, and what story am I telling myself? Well, I just had scans, which usually triggers me to feel this way, and I'm telling myself that I may become disabled, suffer greatly, and even die if I have bad results. Okay, so once you name it, you move on to number 2, which is to sit with it. Sit with it. Whenever we go into the fear state, the tendency is to resist the feeling, run away, or distract ourselves from it. We want to push it away and tell ourselves to just think positive, or we want to reach for the phone to call our friend and vent, or turn on the television, go on social media and just mindlessly scroll for hours and hours to distract ourselves, hoping that the feeling will just go away. But this never works, does it? What I found to be so helpful is to just take a time out and breathe. I sit down in a quiet place and I close my eyes. I take 5 deep breaths. I hold it in. I breathe it in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and out for 7 seconds. This helps to regulate my nervous system, which then makes me feel more present and safe. And usually just a step alone will help that energy get released already. But a lot of the times I'm still feeling the emotions and the mind chatter that starts repeating itself again with these fearful thoughts and thoughts of self-doubt, like, who do you think you are? What do you think you're doing? You need to face the reality that you have cancer and that you're just dying. It's not safe for you to be hopeful, to have good scan results, because you'll just get disappointed and be hurt. You're setting yourself up for failure. So when this happens, I'm just going to double down and I will continue to sit with my emotions and with my eyes closed, and I continue to do the breath work, and I try to feel where that emotion is in my body. Am I feeling a constriction or heaviness in my chest? Am I getting the butterfly feeling in my stomach? Are my extremities going numb and tingly? Am I holding tension in my neck or my hips or my back? So once I've identified where it is, I breathe light into the area and I just imagine the dense black energy dissolve. I let it pass through me and I give it some compassion and understand that it's just a protective part of me that's showing up and trying to keep me safe. I see the purpose that it wants to serve and I thank it for being there. Then I just let it pass through me. This is so helpful to allow it to just be there without resisting it, because what you resist persists. Now that you've allowed the emotions to pass through you, you move on to step number 3, which is to take action. Now, depending on your situation, taking action may mean doing different things at different times, depending on what your situation was. So for example, if you receive bad news that your scans showed a new tumor, or that you find out that the cancer came back, then the action would be to discuss these results with your care team and to come up with a plan that's going to be good for you in the next steps. And hopefully at this point, you would have already done steps number 1 and 2 to process and integrate the emotion so that you can calmly move forward to make the best decision for yourself, instead of just reacting in fear, which often leads to these poor and rushed decisions. The other part of taking action is to do something to raise your mood, your vibration, and to allow your body to release that energy. So this can mean going outside for a walk, stretching, dancing, singing, laughing, painting, cooking, reading a good book, journaling, or just giving yourself a big hug. It can be anything that you know that you will enjoy, that will just light you up inside. And this is so important because it not only changes your mood completely, but it's also an act of love and kindness to yourself. And in the Bible, in John 4:18 says that there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out all fear. Remember, we have the ability to choose at any given moment what we want to feel, and with more practice and awareness, we can transform and shift our emotions at any given moment from a fear-based emotion to a love-based emotion. And I know that for me, I would want to choose love every single time. Thank you all for listening, especially if you made it to the end of this video. It means so much to me, and I hope you took at least one thing away that can help you in your own journey and help your loved ones. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when I post a new video, and leave a comment below so I can see what you're thinking. I love you all, and have a wonderful rest of your day and week.